Well, Donald Trump is finished. I mean, he did some great things as president, but then went nuts when he got beaten. And it was Trump who cost the Republicans the victory they should have had in yesterday's midterm election. And despite everything going for the Republicans, high inflation on the Democrats, falling wages, millions of illegal immigrants crossing the border, they're still struggling to win back control of the House of Representatives and the Senate, although there's still some crucial counting to go. And all that is on Trump. He handpicked the Senate candidates who underperformed in critical Senate races like Pennsylvania and Georgia. Trump is the one who picked toadies and out-of-town oddballs who agreed with his nutty conspiracy theory that he was robbed at the last election. It was Trump who made the party seem half crazy, like a threat to democracy. And sure, the Democrats beat up that claim, using Trump's refusal to acknowledge he was defeated. They beat it up to ludicrous proportions. But who gave them that excuse? Who gave them that chance?
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
But critically, who made this election so much about Donald Trump and not about Joe Biden? If the focus had just been on Biden, forgetful, blah, blah, incompetent, how much easier for the Republicans would it have been? But making it about Donald Trump was on Donald Trump. What an ego. What an ego. In fact, the day before the election, turned into a referendum about him, saying he'd follow this triumph with a big announcement next Tuesday. Hint, hint, he'll run for president again. Instead, it was President Joe Biden, written off as too old and senile, who's now saying he will probably run again.
My intention is that I run again, but I'm a great respecter of fate, and this is ultimately a family decision. I think everybody wants me to run, but we're going to have discussions about it.
Joining me is John Hinderaker of the Powerline blog and the Centre of the American Experiment. John, always great to talk to you. How much do you blame Donald Trump for this result?
Well, I think he bears a lot of blame. There are other factors, too, the abortion issue enabled by that recent Supreme Court decision, the Dobbs case. But one of the major things going on in this election is, a midterm election is always a referendum on the president, right? And that's why the out-of-power party always does well. And the Democrats had this idea of making the midterm election a referendum, not on Joe Biden, who's very unpopular, doing a terrible job, but let's make it a referendum on Donald Trump. And of course, Trump jumped on that with both feet. Yeah, let's make the midterm elections all about me. And so he was constantly backing candidates and making public appearances and going along with the Democrats' theme that the election was all about Donald Trump. And so the Democrats are always talking about saving our democracy and stopping fascism, ridiculous claims. But all of that was code for Donald Trump. And what happened in large part is that across most of America, Donald Trump is poison. If you are associated with Donald Trump, you will lose. And we saw that in race after race. And somehow the Democrats got away with making this election not about their president, who's in office and doing a terrible job, but about Donald Trump, who's not in office and not on the ballot. I mean, it's very sad.
But it's all on Trump because he gave them that opportunity. He's such an ego. He thought he was the vote magnet instead of realizing for a lot, he's also a vote magnet for the Democrats. If he's selling it, they don't want it. And now the Republicans have paid a price. Now, Donald Trump, as part of this thing, just before the election, he said, I'm going to make the big announcement. You'll be very pleased with it next week. And obviously it's about running for president. So it was a referendum on him. Should he, with this result, now quit his plans to run for election again? What should he say? I think it's next Tuesday, next Wednesday. What should he be saying?
Well, Andrew, I wrote on Powerline this morning that I hope he announces, when he makes this big announcement, I hope he says he's moving to Bulgaria. I mean, I want him off the public stage. And I think most Republicans do. But, Donald Trump is kind of a megalomaniac. This morning, he was quoted blaming other people for the fact that he backed Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania. It turned out to be a terrible mistake. The brain damaged poor John Fetterman won that election. And so this morning, Donald Trump is railing against his advisors, including his wife, and saying she recommended that he back Dr. Oz, not one of her better decisions. I mean, it's unbelievable. He doesn't take responsibility for anything. And I think he's going to plow ahead and try to run again in 2024.
Yeah, but John, you've got some knowledge of how the Republicans are working internally. Is the party strong enough to tell him, Donald Trump, you're fired?
Well, Andrew, the way our system works, there isn't really anyone who can tell him that. Anybody who says he's a Republican is a Republican. Anybody that wants to enter a Republican primary can enter a Republican primary. And there isn't anybody that Donald Trump would listen to other than possibly his wife, who could tell him, Donald, give it up. And so I think what's going to happen is, in all likelihood, he will declare for 2024. He will enter primaries. But I don't think he's got much of a chance. I think most Republicans have had it with Donald Trump. The one place where we saw the red wave was Florida, the home of Ron DeSantis. I mean, Ron DeSantis and Marco Rubio won their races by like 1.6 million votes. That's where the red wave was. And I think the vast majority of Republicans are ready to move on from Donald Trump. And I see Ron DeSantis as the nominee in 2024.
I think he needs to be told, you've had your turn. Do you want to be a loser twice? That's the worst word in his lexicon, loser. He lost the last election. Does he really want to lose the next one too? Is that how he wants to be remembered? Let's see if sense comes to him. I'd rather doubt it, but the Republicans have got to make a big call here. John Hinderaker, thank you so much indeed for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew.